Day 6, so we're on the letter Ha. Ha for halal, ha for haram. When it comes to these, we often tend to think of it as if everything is haram. The reality is that very few stuff are actually haram. For example, if we look at meat, we can eat sheep, we can eat cow, we can eat chicken, we can eat goat, we can eat camel, we can eat so many other stuff, and there's only pig that we can't eat. If we look at drinks, there's water, there's fruit juice, there's milk, and only alcohol we're not allowed to drink. The reality is that probably about 90% of things are mubah, which means that we can choose. We can choose what brand of clothes we wear. We can choose what car we drive. We can choose what cuisine we eat. Very few stuff are actually forbidden, just as very few stuff are actually obligations. Unfortunately though, even when it comes to those very few prohibitions, we have a tendency to belittle them, just as we have a tendency to belittle those things we've been commanded to do. When something is haram, we should stay as far away from it as possible, and not go anywhere near anything which is even potentially linked to it. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Man waqa'a fi shubuhat waqa'a fil haram." Whoever falls into those doubtful things ends up falling into haram. We also sometimes have a habit of overlooking halal and dwelling on haram as if it's our only option, particularly when it comes to financial matters. What we should know is that every single thing we get in our life was already written for us even before we were born. When we're told that we'll only get what Allah has decreed us to get, it isn't to make us sit back and relax and expect things to come to us. Rather, it is for us to only seek things through halal means. If something is written for us, then we will get it, no matter how weak we are. And if something is not written for us, then we will never get it, no matter how strong we are. It's said that a beggar once came to one of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ. So that companion went to get his money and brought 2 dinars to give to the beggar. Meanwhile though, the beggar had gotten fed up of waiting, so he looked around, saw the horse of this companion, and took the saddle from it. He then ran off with the saddle to sell it in the market. When the companion came back with the 2 dinars to give to the beggar, he was nowhere to be seen. And he also noticed, of course now, that his horse was missing its saddle. So he called his servant, gave him the 2 dinars and told him, "Go to the market and buy another saddle for the horse." The servant went to the market, and the first saddle that he saw was the one the beggar had just stolen. He bought it from the beggar for 2 dinars. When he came back, the companion recognized his own saddle, so he asked, "Can you describe for me the person who sold this to you?" When he heard the description, he realized it was exactly the same person who'd come before asking him for money. He said, "Subhanallah, that 2 dinars was written for him. If he'd been patient, he could have taken it through halal means, but he was hasty and took it through haram means." May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us to always take halal only and to avoid haram at all costs. Allahumma aghnina bil halali anil haram. Wassalamu alaykum.